Now, Larry, obviously we need to tackle DC. A lot of people are wondering what is going on with their unemployment system.
Yeah, no doubt there's been some reported issues with the computer system that handles the applications and also reported issues with the phones as well. Let's get a look at the numbers. According to the District's Department of Employment Services, as of yesterday, 58,309 new claims for unemployment benefits have been filed since March the 13th. Now, some have complained about the website where the applications are filed. The site operates on Internet Explorer, a browser that's hardly used these days. Our editorial partners at the Washington Post looked into it and found that DC received $9 million in 2012 to overhaul their website. But that project didn't take place until 2018, and it is still not complete. And there are also issues with their phones, we're told. Evan Ave was laid off a few weeks ago and still cannot get someone on the phone.
It's been 2 weeks since I haven't heard anything. I've been trying to call them every day or every other day. Wait times, if you can even get through, go from 2 hours to 4 hours, and then the caller just hang up. It's frustrating, bills are piling up, the end of the month's coming. Nobody kind of really knows what's going on with the situation, and it's just frustrating trying to, call city representatives or anybody you can reach out to. Matter of fact, I think you were the only person that actually reached out to me per my comment on Twitter.
And now we've learned the Department of Employment Services is trying to work on that issue. It's not clear if additional staff were hired, but the department has been overwhelmed with both applications and those trying to get information. Another question came up. When can the unemployed begin to see a boost to their checks with money from the CARES Act signed by President Trump? Now, we received this statement saying that the IT system for the department is not set up to process the claims. The changes will take anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, you won't likely see a boost in your checks until at the earliest, April the 21st. That's been confirmed by the city administrator, Rashard Young. And the unemployment claimants actually don't end there. Tonight at 11, after Blue Bloods, a warning about how you're giving your information to DC government and possible security risk involved. We're going to have that story tonight at 11. Bruce?